All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, sunshine. Super excited to come to you today. It's Tuesday. This is like the first full on major week for many of us here in the community. And I have an amazing guest with me. So, Mihai Andrei and I actually were connected through someone else. So, there's my number one tip network. He and I share lots of similar passions, similar energy. We're super excited to have you here. Welcome to Chasing Dreams and Making a Positive Impact and the opportunity to share your journey as an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much, Christine, and thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's such a he is such a beautiful soul. You guys are going to love him today. What I loved about Mihai when I first got introduced to him again through someone in our network, someone who is here in the community, is that he has a really unexpected story. And I think at first glance, there's that plot twist that we talk about a lot about here in the community because it's something unexpected. Yet, I know that there's a beautiful soul also in our community called Cheyenne Kramer who would say that business is a spiritual game. And I think that that very much represents the world and the work that Mihai does. So tell us a little bit about your journey, who you are, your background, and how you became a business owner and entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, certainly. um, so it started quite a few years ago, and like many business owners, I started a business. And what was happening during my life at the time is I was in a fantastic relationship with someone that I truly loved and who loved me. And we enjoyed each other's company so much so that I moved from Calgary all the way to the coastline in Vancouver so we could move in together and start a new chapter together. And as we were proceeding on, we discovered that all of a sudden things were not turning out well in our relationship. And as things got a little bit more and more sour, what ended up happening was we decided that the best solution to our problems would be to leap forward in life and get started on our dream, which was to start a business. We were both healers. I've been involved in spirituality for 16 years, more than half my life, and so had she. So what could possibly go wrong, right? That's how a lot of entrepreneurs get started. And I laugh about it now, but the truth is, back then, it was literally the darkest time of my life is what followed. And I can laugh about it now because I've done years of healing after it. So what ended up happening is we started a healing related business together, and it just didn't work, but it didn't work and it failed so spectacularly that it deserves its own sitcom, basically. And one day, as I was contemplating the situation, I asked myself this very hopeless question of, is this really what happens to a person when they chase their dreams? Do they just get shut down and absolutely crushed into the ground on every possible level? And I was wondering that because I was thinking my finances were deep in the red. My health was going down in my 20s, which was abnormal. My business was going nowhere and I was feeling depressed. So I asked myself a question like that. And I came to this realization in one moment as I was asking myself that question. I realized what the meaning of equality is in the world and in my life. And I realized that equality means to accept everyone and everything exactly as they are. And I find that there's a difference between logically hearing that and getting that versus learning something with your whole being. And I learned it with my whole being in that moment. And that just hit me like lightning because it meant that that business was never going to work no matter what I did to try and patch it. And that relationship was never going to work, and that way of life was never going to work. And the truth is, it took me another 2 whole years to capitalize on that understanding, even though I knew it. I couldn't do anything about it because I was so drained at that point that it took me a while to dig myself out. But when I finally did, I was without a business at that point in time. But I thankfully had a job, and I used that understanding to manifest things in my life. And it started with doubling my income. My finances climbed faster than I ever could have imagined before. My health got back on track. I started to live life differently. And I understood on a deeper level what I feel today, which is that business and spirituality have the exact same goal and work in the exact same way. And it's always been that way for
Mhm.
thousands of years. And the same markers of success will continue to be the same forever. And so that's what led me to start working on what I'm working on, and to work with business owners in particular, because we're the change makers, right, in the world.
We are. And I do think that there is, and I know so many people come into this community because they're in the plot twist, right? And I always talk about there is an epic comeback coming. It is really hard to do the work when you're still battered and bruised. And when you are battered and bruised, sometimes it takes time. You know, you don't come through the fire nice and shiny and minted, but if you do the work and you get clear on your purpose and you get clear on there's a lesson here. Certainly, there are always going to be chapters we don't want to revisit, but I look back on them like you and say, this could be a great sitcom, or this gave me strength, insight, knowledge, something I needed to apply today. And if I keep showing up, I keep having the courage to reinvent myself, something really amazing is coming. I just don't see it yet. But it is about somewhat the faith factor and the belief that there is a reason for this season and this isn't my final one. So don't stay in the mess. Keep going. Like, don't stop when it sucks in the black pit hole of questioning. Question and listen. The answers are there. The signs are there. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the fact that you have this very traditional engineering background and a very spiritual based business. And to me, that makes total sense, but I'm sure lots of people go, explain. So I'd love for you to talk about that, because there are people in the community that I know are, I work with in my world, that are very traditional, I'm going to say formally educated, in the nuts and bolts world, whether that's engineering, whether that's accounting, whether that's very disciplined or, structured corporate worlds, to the really creative space. I never saw them as separate, and you don't either, but I think that's rare. So tell me a little bit about building the bridge.
So, okay. How about I give an example about that? Something just came into my mind. For a lot of people, one of the struggles they experience in life is they're very busy, but there's always more to do. And what happens is a lot of people are aware that they could be spending their time more wisely, but they can't seem to find out what the hidden ingredient is to make a shift and get more done during their day. And that's actually a big problem, not just in the business entrepreneurship world, but in engineering too, in jobs as well. Lots of people spend their time unwisely. And what's interesting about that is that's actually rooted in deeper programs for people. So people sometimes are afraid of what's going to happen if they do make that shift, or they might be afraid partially of the result that they're going to get, so they're distracting themselves by doing these other tasks. And what's fascinating is there's when we say traditional stuff, everyone does mental work throughout their day, right? We still need to get things done. We need to answer those 40 emails. We need to get these meetings out of the way, so on and so forth. But there's another layer underneath those which continues to work whether we believe it or not. And that particular layer is the energy world. That particular layer is actually the spiritual world. And so for me, I've always believed in the balance of things. And when I saw a system that wasn't working, what happened was I kept asking, why is it broken? And the answer is sometimes spiritual. And my question to everyone is, whether they're traditional or spiritual, is if a system isn't working, who cares where the issue is? Why don't we go fix it? Right?
100%. 100%.
So
It's
I think that's the connection between the spiritual and the physical, is they influence one another, they exist at all times, and they work with one another.
I love that because I do think it's sort of like the question of definition of insanity. And I know that there's a lot of business owners who came through 2021, um, maybe not where they wanted to be, and yet at the same time think doing the exact same things will somehow miraculously result in something different for 2022. And I know I have, with tough love and great grace, say to you, I'm just calling potentially bullshit. Pardon the language, because doing the same things and not being clear on who you serve and how you serve them and owning your story will not deliver different results. And so I know that you and I had the opportunity to sit into one of your energy healing sessions that you did about releasing the old energy and just forgiving yourself for all the disappointments, the lack of success, whatever it might have been that you feel will be a weight as you head into the new year. Release it and get clear on where you want to go. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the work that you do and any insights or tips you might have for people who are in messy in between. They aren't seeing the success they're looking for. They recognize something's broken. Where do I go from here? Because you and I both know the biggest question that you and I get involved with is the how, but I think sometimes the how comes later.
Yeah.
Let's get the bit before the how. I love your input on that.
Oh, thank you for asking that. So okay, this is what gets me excited. The first thing that should be in everyone's mind and heart is, everyone should have a vision of what it is that they're doing. And the thing is, all of your actions, all of your results, all of the people who are coming to you are actually either attracted or not attracted to that vision. And what I mean by that is the core of why you're doing what you're doing, what the end goal is, and in a way that is connected to you on a deeper level, not just the business plan that you set on paper mentally, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I would say the vision is the most important thing for people, because it dictates not only your own actions and whether you're actually getting results from what you do, but it also actually dictates part of your income. And to talk about why that is there's two parts to marketing, for example. One part is the actual messaging, the content, how you're delivering it, so on and so forth, which we take courses on. The second half of marketing is actually internal. It's who you are, what you're delivering, and are people attracted to you, to your energy, to what's behind your words, to what's behind the face, basically. Mm-hmm. And that's where the vision comes in. So that's one thing that you should definitely be clear on. And it's an ongoing process, not just a one and done. It's something to stay connected to throughout. The second thing is, if you have fears, then it's very, very important to address those head on. Those are negative belief systems that I know Christine is very, very familiar with and works with as well.
Yeah.
And so that's very, very important. And then the third thing is, once you're past that deeper level, it's all about consistency. And for a lot of people, they sometimes tend to run out of steam, for example, run out of either energy or motivation, or both. So the last component is, once you're clear on what you're doing and you don't have anything emotional hampering you, is to maintain your energy. Those things are, the third one is, it's just as important as time and money. And I really want you to start thinking of it as a resource. So those three items are actually what's really important. And as you use those behind the scenes, then you can have a product that works, which a lot of entrepreneurs need to start with. And then afterwards you can have a good delivery method for that product. So whether that's a webinar or your books, your website, your, the usual traditional things.
The tools. Yeah, I think it is true. I always think, and I often view myself as like a vision caster, because I often help people see a vision they can't yet crystallize, and I will hold it for them until people can come along. But I think when I think vision, I always think, vision doesn't drive you, vision pulls you. And you must get past, I love the fact you talk about, consistency, because it's the one we all kind of roll our eyes on. And yet we all fundamentally know I'm not being consistent. But consistency is about recognizing that in order to achieve your vision or your vision board, you must take uncomfortable action. You must show up when it is inconvenient because your vision pulls you. And I think sometimes when we have this idea that we're serving everybody, we're really serving nobody, and that leaves us in the place of fear. The fear of, well, nobody's really connecting to me. And I always think energy leads, and it's true. And I know you're really influenced my perspective of that, because people say all the time, I get your energy. And I said, people choose you way before they choose your product. If someone wants to come into our universe here in the Chasing Dreams community or wider in the programs you and I both run, it's going to be because they connect to something we're saying, they connect to a vision, they connect to the energy, and we'll figure out the how later. We just know that there's something there. You got to trust the magic. It comes back to, I know, that faith factor I just mentioned, but it is so true. So I think those 3 nuggets are super big gold. I want people to go back, re-listen to that, because this is your roadmap. If you want 2022 to be epic, follow the clues, because success leaves clues. And that was a clue for you. If you had missed it, I'm going to call you right back to the attention on it. So one thing I'd like to do, because it sounds like you've come in this tremendous journey from rising from the ashes to rebuilding, getting new businesses out there. I know your business is a massive momentum, but it's probably still not only smooth sailing today. So I'd love for you to go looking back in your journey, however it's been 10 years or so. What has been the biggest surprise to you about being an entrepreneur, and how would that surprise be a piece of education, advice, or insight for someone who hasn't yet had the journey and experience that you've had?
Okay. Okay. Let me tell you the first thing that comes to mind on that, which is something I was talking to one of my clients about literally today. Is one of the biggest issues I see with entrepreneurs is, especially service-based entrepreneurs, is that they have a feeling inside of themselves that they can deliver so much more in one-on-one scenarios than they can within a group. And there's so much fear that I've experienced as well when it came to delivering something to a group rather than one-on-one. And that's actually been one of the big things that just blew my mind in terms of what's possible to achieve. It's one of the biggest leaps forward, is to shift that particular belief system and to start exploring what's possible within a group, to where I'm just finishing a transition now to where the one-on-one component is no longer needed. The group component can do the same level of high vibration, high result in the person's life right away without that one-on-one. And that's just blown my mind that that's possible.
It's funny because sometimes we think group comes first and sometimes we think one-on-one comes first. And I will tell you, there's no perfect solution. It is about, what does your business feel like? But when we talk about making an impact, and my vision and the impact I want to make isn't one, it's many, although you must show up every day for one. And that one person you must first lead is yourself, daily, through habits, through rituals, through community, through connection. And I love the fact that you can realize that the energy and the possibility with group can be tremendous. And you want to think about that, because I know you and I were talking about, wow, could I do group? And now it's like, wow, group is really interesting. The dynamics are different. The leadership is different. The energy can still be tremendously amazing, even virtually. So that's going to be the big shift. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about Soul Purpose Matrix and what do you got going on for 2022? Tell me about your big vision and what you're looking to see as success this year.
Oh, so much stuff, so much good stuff. So one of them is that I loved putting on the ceremony at the end of the year that you were talking about. So we did a ceremony where we released the energy of the year and welcome in new energy for 2022. Well,
It was
it
amazing,
was
by the way, people. It was amazing. If he ever does it, you want to be part of it. It was amazing.
Thank you, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and I welcome everybody to it. So on that note, I've decided it was so good, and many people responded to it so positively that I want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do I want to do it again, but there are several really key important points throughout the year where the energy shifts and it's time for something new. It's time for a new phase of development. So I'm going to start doing periodic free events throughout the year to do a similar ceremony. That's one of the things that I really want and I'm excited for. Another thing is there's so much coming for the core programs that I deliver. There's a ton of new content and refinement that's on the rise, and I'm also a little bit. I'm going to talk about it in a moment, but I'm also going to start helping people specifically with that energy and motivation component, and make a periodic meeting that people can attend that will really keep them up in terms of energy and motivation. So those are some of the things that are coming down the pipeline this year for me, and I'm super excited for it.
That sounds amazing. And I will say to the community, when Mihai does get his events coming to the first chapter that he talked about, stick around. We're going to post them here. You can definitely come and attend them. We'll be sharing when that happens. And I want to say to people and invite you now, how would people find you if they want to learn more about the work you do, your community, your future programs? How do they connect to you?
Well, honestly, the absolute best way is to come and join my mailing list. It's a business friendly, non spammy,
I can vouch for
very
that.
yeah. Very good way to keep in touch with me and get to know about especially these events. And actually, I have a masterclass that I'm teaching later this week that's specifically about some of the stuff you asked me about, Christine. We're going to talk about
Funny how that works, right? That was not
right.
tangent, by the way, guys. That's just natural flow.
Yeah. We're going to talk about why business owners get stuck in business. Is some of them right at the start, getting stuck in that starting stage, but even later on, people who have millions of dollars under their belt can also get stuck when they're starting a new chapter, and what to do about it. And so I'm going to deliver a masterclass later this week, to which I definitely invite you. Come register, and even if you can't make it live, there's going to be a replay which you're going to want to watch.
Sounds awesome. Because this is it, guys. This is our rallying call. Both of us really are heart-centered entrepreneurs. We are here to help guide you if you need help, but we're here to just cheer you on. This is your year to get unstuck. This is the year to get back in touch with your dreams and your vision and be out there chasing your dreams and making a positive impact. This is about being in uncomfortable action to make it happen, because it is so possible. If you are still in a plot twist, still unsure, I will tell you, it's possible. It's possible. So take the leap of faith. Thank you, Mihai, for being here today. I'm super excited to have you here in the community and for you to come and talk to our guys about what it is that you do, inspire, lift, and be just an energetic share. So thank you. Really do appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much, Christine. It's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. So I'm going to post the link here, and I'll see if it shows up for everyone. If not, then we're going to post it manually later as well. So I posted the link here. If you can see it right now, awesome. Go click on it. If you can't, then we're going to put it in the post that comes with this video right after it's done.
That's right. We'll figure out the technology. It's a work in progress, guys. This is us in the messy middle. Thanks for being here. I will catch you guys soon. Be back here Friday for our next live, and be out there chasing your dreams and making a positive impact. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye, guys.